So if you'll just start, name, where you're from.
Okay, my name is Sam Merrill from Bountiful, Utah.
Obviously, with the tournament being canceled, where were you when you found out that news?
So I was actually I was on my way up to practice. We were to the point where we were expecting it at some point, just didn't know when. So Coach had just sent us a text that said he was going to modify practice, just under the assumption that this was probably going to happen, that we were just going to do all skill work, and that for some of us it may be hard, and for some of us, I'm assuming he was talking to the seniors, that we would probably be even wondering why we were even at practice. But I was on my way up and got a text from a buddy, and he said, "Hey, there's your tweet. There it is." And so I actually pulled over to swipe through and see everything, and saw the tweets about it being canceled. So I just came up to the locker room, and we had some guys here. Like I said, we were about 45 minutes out from practice, and yeah, it was a tough moment for sure. After hearing that we were going to play without fans, to me it almost seemed like it would be better just to cancel it. But still, having anticipated it, it was a gut-wrenching moment for sure.
What was that team meeting like? Because you mentioned that Craig had brought the team together.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that team meeting a little bit.
Yeah, it was a really emotional meeting. We met down here on the Spectrum floor, and Coach Smith spoke to us for a few minutes, and it was, like I said, very emotional. He mentioned how proud he was of us and how sad it was for all of us, and opened up the floor for anyone to speak. Only a couple coaches spoke, just because I think all of us players were too emotional to be able to say anything. And then Coach said, for those that weren't seniors, there was just so much uncertainty on what the plan would be going forward. So we broke it down, and that was that.
The Mountain West came out about that same time, saying that spring sports were canceled. Practices, well, even the university said, practices are canceled until at least Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
What's day-to-day life like for you right now? I mean, classes have gone online. What's your day-to-day life like?
For me, I've had online classes anyway. I haven't had any in-class classes, so it's felt normal. But for me, it's just speeds up the process as far as going forward for me, as far as picking an agent, starting with pre-draft stuff. So I've had to accelerate that a little bit. But I feel for those spring sports that were just getting started and had to have their season cut short. I'm pretty sure they're going to get that year back, so that will be good for them. But you never know what's going to happen in a year, and maybe some people won't. Maybe some seniors won't want to come back, and we'll just be ready to move on. So it's definitely a tough situation for all involved.
You talked about yesterday, there's a chance that perhaps these winter sports could get that scholarship back. Where do you stand on that, and is that something you would be interested in coming back for?
I'm definitely in support of it, especially all the teams that, some teams, their season has already ended, like a lot of teams in our league, and some tournaments had started. But a lot of teams didn't get a finish, and for all those teams, you sit there and wonder what if. So I'm definitely in support of it. For me, I'm 24 years. I'm going to be 24 in a couple months. I'll be graduating. Feel like I've given it everything I had to Utah State. So for me, I feel like it's time to move on. But like I said, I would definitely be in support, and I think that would be great for those that do feel like there's something left unsaid.
How meaningful has it been for you growing up a Utah State fan? Obviously, the first 2 years here at Utah State, maybe results weren't how you wanted them to be, but now to win back-to-back conference tournament championships, how meaningful was that for you as a Utah State fan?
Yeah, for me it's even sweeter, just because I grew up a Utah State fan, and because our first 2 years were tough, and we weren't as good as we wanted to be, and lots of guys nowadays, when their team isn't very good or when things don't go their way, they just transfer, and that's the easy thing to do nowadays. But for me and Diogo and Abel and Justin and Brock, those guys that were on those two previous teams, we really felt like we could do something, that we could be successful here, and we put in the work and have obviously had two great years, two of the best years that Utah State has had. So for me personally, to just learn how to fight through adversity while playing for a school that I love has been a special experience.
Let's talk about this year specifically. Quite a bit of ups and downs. Rocky start to 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like everybody was dealing with injury. And then again to just cap the season with the Mountain West Tournament Championship. Let's talk about this season a little bit as a whole.
Yeah, it was definitely a different season. We started with very high expectations, and we had high expectations as well as a team, and got off to a pretty good start, but I just never – it felt different. Part of that was not having Nimi and his injuries, and a couple of us got hurt preseason, and that made it tough, but had a really good non-conference, and then started 2020 really rough. We definitely were not at 100%, and I think that really affected us, not necessarily on the court, it did obviously, but I think that affected us mentally and emotionally as well, and we weren't playing Utah State basketball for about a week and a half, and a lot of people lost faith in us. I know a lot of fans lost faith in us, but we just continue to work. And I met with Coach after our loss at Air Force, and he said, hey, is there is something going on chemistry-wise, and is our guys not buying in? And I just said, no, we have a ton of high-character guys and guys with a lot of pride and guys that like to do things the right way. We're just, right now it's just not working. And, to be honest, I don't even know if he believed me at that point, but I was sure that we had the right guys in our system, and it turned out to be true. We just needed maybe a little reminder and needed to be knocked down to come back up. And from that moment, we fixed ourselves and looked in the mirror and did what needed to be done, and ended it the perfect way possible.
Knowing what we know now, as far as the tournament being done, the last moment of the 2019-2020 Utah State basketball season is your shot in the Mountain West Tournament to win the championship. How is that to you to punctuate a career with that shot?
Yeah, it's obviously I wish there was more to it, and wish there were other opportunities, but in hindsight and knowing what we know now, it's a perfect way to go out for me personally and for us as a team to beat one of the best teams in the country and win a conference championship and be able to celebrate together. Like I said, we wish there was more, but it's a perfect way.